Hey guys! Today we'll be talking about the Analects of Confucius 7.2, which is a continuation or part 2 of 7.1, which is Confucius's humble autobiography. And today, instead of talking about Confucius's relation to tradition, like we did in 7.1, today's is his method of being worthy enough to transmit this tradition. And it's basically about his 3 very ordinary habits that he uses on a day-to-day basis. And in order to become the amazing, great, one of the best Chinese philosophers and teachers that we know today. And just a heads up, there's absolutely no divine stuff or any kind of special thing about who he is and what he describes himself as. He's just someone who loves learning, and that's the only thing to it. That's the only thing that you need to become such a great person as Confucius. You love learning and also have a lot of other things. Not a lot, but some other things that we'll talk about more in this chapter. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. 7.2, the master said, to retain knowledge quietly in my mind, to learn without ever feeling sated, not to weary of teaching, that these things are not a problem for me. So in 7.1, Confucius says that he only transmits and doesn't innovate or create. And so this is kind of the discipline that we need, or he needs, in order to do that kind of transmission. And the 3 things are silently internalizing the knowledge and to keep learning and to keep teaching. And okay, let's get into it sentence by sentence. And so we start with to retain knowledge quietly in my mind. Oh, not sentence by sentence, phrase by phrase, separated by the commas. This word knowledge, that along with the Chinese word for it, that is written in the original text, 知, those 2 are very broad. And that's because Confucian knowledge itself is broad. Confucian learning is broad. And like we talked about in the first chapter of the first book, the first ever thing that you see in the Analects of Confucius, Confucius's definition of learning isn't just the academic studying that we're used to today. And actually, it can be a variety of things as long as it refines your character. It can be something like practicing the rituals, or learning poetry, learning calligraphy, learning manners, which are a part of rituals, and learning how to be a better person and to cultivate your inner moral principles, everything like that. And so, yeah, it can be what one has learned, what one has read, what one has heard, or just anything like that. It's very, very broad, and it's meant to be that way because Confucian learning isn't just restricted to one specific kind of thing. So this is just about silently internalizing the knowledge that you have learned, actually understanding it to a deep and profound way. So this first sentence is not just saying to memorize something, because in order to actually truly have learned something, you have to not just having to memorize it just because you memorize it, it doesn't mean you've actually learned that thing. And actually, it's more about understanding it to a deep and profound way, understanding it so much that it affects how you speak, how you act, and how you behave in certain situations, and how you think and how you judge things. And moving on to the second sentence, or no, the second phrase, to learn without ever feeling sated. So, again, like I've said, the definition of learning in the Confucian sense isn't just narrowed down to a single thing. It can be anything. So, and then learn without ever feeling sated. You're satisfied with how much you've had and you feel a sense of completion. And so what this means is that Confucius will never learn to the extent of saying, I've had enough of learning and I finally have all the knowledge that I want to have. So this ties into the fact that to be Confucius, you can never have enough. You can never be satisfied with the amount of knowledge that you have. You can always learn more. There's probably nothing that can truly be completed in the sense of the thing can never be enough. You can always do better. You can always improve yourself. You can never learn so much that you feel completely or pleasantly full or satisfied. And this is actually one of Confucius's most important descriptions of himself and also of the Junzi, or the gentleman. So, Confucius has said a lot that he loves learning, and he said that probably nobody where he's from likes learning so much as him, and nobody is so fond of learning as well. And this is probably precisely why he is such a really smart person. It's because he never stops learning. He never goes to the extent of saying, I know everything and I'm better than all of you. And so he, by staying humble and saying that he still has a lot to learn despite all of the things that he's already mastered, he's just going in this continuous lifelong cycle of learning, because that's what the definition of learning is in the Confucian sense. It's just a lifelong journey of learning and constantly refining yourself, or constantly refining your character, how you view and judge the world, how you speak and how you act. And the third phrase, not too wary of teaching. So let's focus first on the word teaching. So teaching in the Chinese word in the original text carries a warmer and more patient tone. And it's a lot more warmer than just dumping information into someone's head without really caring about that person. So someone who teaches in the Confucian sense, or in the context that it is given here, it actually means guiding someone toward more clarity and actually helping someone achieve helping someone with a kind of problem or worry, or just passing on knowledge with the intent of actually improving that person's life, kind of like a mentor or a guide. And there's actually one word that is missing from this translation, mostly because it's kind of implied already in the English version, and also in the Chinese version. But it's the word ren, which means people, in the way that it's spelled. It's like that. I don't know if I'm doing it right. Is that the right direction? I don't know. This thing, or yes. So So, this word is actually also intentionally broad. It's either people, and it implies that not just students or not just like little younger people, not just really high in social rank people, not adults, not really old people, just everyone. It's all inclusive. And it's because he is willing to teach anyone who wants to be taught, anyone who wants knowledge, who wants to learn, who is eager to learn. And yeah, regardless of social rank. And he says not to worry. So, of course, Confucius is human and he does get physically tired, but he's saying that he will never get mentally tired of teaching. So that means he will be patient and he will always try his best to teach people in the way of helping people through teaching them wisdom. So he'll never get annoyed or irritated when a student is too slow or doesn't really understand the information that he's teaching. And he also doesn't hoard knowledge in the way that he doesn't tell someone something. He'll always tell someone something when they're ready to hear it, or when they're mentally or emotionally or intellectually ready to hear it. And he's always going to be patient with students, and this doesn't mean that he teaches lazily. It's just that he's patient. And then the last phrase, these things are not a problem for me. So there's actually two main readings for this. One is the reading that the translation has, and another one is more like a humble denial, as in, how could I say I possess these qualities? And I think it's actually good to keep both readings because it matches his character and what he describes himself as, his description of himself. So although he does say that he possesses, or no, although he does possess these qualities, he's also denying self-glorification. And just like he said, just like in 7.1, he is very, very humble and he doesn't try to claim that he's some sort of sage or a really superior figure. He's just saying that he's as ordinary as all of us, and by implying that, he's also saying that knowledge isn't something that is a really distant thing that can only be reached by some sort of person, by some kind of person. And in fact, everyone can learn and everyone can achieve this moral goal of following the right, correct path to live, the Tao, the way. If you are willing to learn and if you're willing to try. And so he's saying that, hey, I'm as normal as all of you, so if I can do it, why can't you? In the order of how Confucius describes it, you first retain that information, then second, you seek more knowledge, and third, you transmit it. And we should notice the order. If someone retains without learning more, then they will become rigid and narrow-minded. And if someone learns without retaining it first, then that person will be more loud and kind of more shallow, and because they don't understand that information first. And if someone learns but doesn't teach, then that's kind of a little bit unlike Confucius and ungenerous, I guess, a little bit. But just a side note, teaching has also been proven to improve your learning, so why not? Why wouldn't you teach? And the deeper lesson here is that the petty person wants to appear clever while the cultivated person wants to appear no. And the deeper lesson here is that the petty person wants to appear clever while the cultivated person wants to become worthy. And let's look at Confucius. He's deliberately saying that the teacher is first a student. And notice that Confucius's authority here isn't from originality or a sense of superiority. And he deliberately says in 7.1 that he doesn't claim any originality for his teachings. And it only comes from the respect that we have for him and him for us as students. So he has a bunch of qualities like being humble and also never having enough knowledge and also patience. So the lesson for us as students is that first you should read or gain knowledge and don't be too loud and proud about it before you know what you're doing first. And second of all, you should deeply understand that knowledge that you just gained and actually apply it into practice. And like Confucius has said, you can't really know something before you've applied it into your life and also shown that piece of knowledge in yourself as a person. And you should let it really refine yourself and cultivate yourself and your moral principles as well. And then you should never be completely satisfied with the amount of knowledge you have, because you can always have more, you can always learn more, you can always improve yourself. And also teach what you know when it can help another person. And when you're praised for it, you shouldn't really inflate yourself or pretend to be someone who knows more than you actually do. And actually, doing the opposite might help a lot more, because you should always practice some humbleness when you can. Of course, since even Confucius, the most amazing teacher and Chinese philosopher, if he can do it, then why can't you? And yeah, that'll be all today. I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!